Hi, I'm Myra.
And I'm Tressa, and we're Fancy Marketing People with Union, a Wyoming-based telecommunications company. Yes, Wyoming really does exist, and we proudly serve the Rocky Mountain region.
On this podcast, we will feature businesses, organizations, nonprofits, and influential people from Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming.
Our mission is to highlight those that inspire their communities daily.
We believe this makes us truly authentic because a journey of 1,000 miles always begins with a single step.
Here we are, Myra. We're back.
We're back. Look at us.
We need a new line.
I know. I
always say that.
We're back. I don't know what else to say. I think it's part like getting into the rhythm of the mix. You know, because before we, those in listener land, before Tressa and I start, Keith gets to listen to Tressa and I talk about random things. And sometimes Keith, our wonderful producer, joins in and chats with us. And then when the record button hits, I feel like I'm like, oh gosh, we're actually here. So, yeah, I think we say we're back because it's a natural.
Well, yeah. I guess
a natural ease into
it's
it.
A natural ease. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are back at our podcast. So how are things, Myra?
Things are good. It's really hot here. I think it's 90-some degrees.
Myra's not in Wyoming, listener land.
No, I'm not in Wyoming. I'm not in Kansas anymore. I'm not in Wyoming, but it's first week of school here in North Carolina in the district. And Nola, she started kindergarten. And so we had lots of big emotions for the adults in the house as well as the child in the house.
Yeah.
So lots of feelings, but she's rocking it.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know Mountain View went back where I live, I think Monday or Tuesday. I've seen all the kids back on the school buses. It means fall's coming. I love fall, but I'm not ready to give up summer yet.
No, I'm ready to give up summer, but it's so hot. I forgot what hot was like. It's hot. Yeah. It's humid. I mean, the gardens have burned. You know what I mean? Like it's that hot. You can't even produce anything. Everyone's just, even Boomer doesn't want to go outside, and Boomer's my golden retriever. And he's like, I'm going back in.
Like the air conditioning.
We'll leave the door wide open. And Boomer goes, I ain't out. I'm back in this house. So yeah, I'm ready for fall, if there's even a fall. And it's football season.
Yeah, I know. I love football. Yes.
Yeah. So we're back. I think I'm going to go to a Panthers game. And everyone
Tickets should be cheap.
Oh, no, they're not. They're absolutely not. So Panthers, even when your team wins, like what? They won 2 games last year.
They should be paying you to go. Fans to come see them.
From what I found out, people will go and tailgate outside the stadium and not even go to the game. They'll just go to the bars in Charlotte. They're like, that, or, sorry.
Oh, Keith, you're going to have to edit that.
You have to bleep me, Keith. Whoops. But they're like, sorry, this is a family-friendly show. Keith will have to, hopefully there's a bleep for everyone else. But, yeah, so they don't even go to the game. They just say, nah.
It's just the party.
Yeah, but the Panthers are playing the Chiefs, and so I would be a bad parent if I didn't pretend or attempt to try to buy tickets to the Chiefs to hopefully, wishfully think Taylor Swift might attend to see her man if they're still together by then. So I would be, I think Nola would be very disappointed in me as a parent because I can't get tickets to the girls' concert. So I might as well try to see her through football. We'll go to the Chiefs game and maybe she'll show up. So
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, you never know.
That's my wishful thinking, at least.
That's your wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe T Swift will see this podcast one day and be like, I got to reach out.
Yeah.
I got to get
that.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I
I dream big, Myra. I dream big.
I like it. I'm kind of here for whatever. We'll put that out there.
Maybe put it out there.
Like,
yeah.
There's a girl in North Carolina.
There's a poor little girl in North Carolina. Can't get tickets to your show.
Yeah. I've given up on it. And at this point, it's just kind of outrageous. And I love music. I love concerts. I love the atmosphere. Yeah, that's my thing. And I'm like, okay, sister. So, but on her little board for, like this little the boards, and it's like what grade, and she had me write kindergartner. And then I said, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, well, I want to be a singer, but I'd like to be an artist just in case, and maybe some construction on the side. And I'm like, you know what? That's not a bad gig, you know? Maybe you sing and maybe you do some art and maybe you do some construction. So I like the game plan. So I'm here for it.
That is awesome. I love 5-year-old brains. It's so cute.
Yeah, I did too. That's what I wanted to do. And then I wanted to be a talk show host. So I'm living my dream through our
Here you are.
podcast. So
Yeah.
dreams do come true, folks.
See, dreams do come
This
true.
is
Don't
it.
give up on T-Swift tickets for Noah.
Yeah, even if
That's
I'm
all I'm
B-list. This is my B-list dream.
Yeah.
Like F-list, I don't know.
C-list? Is that where we're at? We're on the C-list.
Or Z. Yeah, we're with my podcast. But well, Tressa, I'm really excited for our guest today. Speaking of music.
Speaking of music, yeah. Good intro.
Today we have Chancey Williams. Chancey is an American country music singer-songwriter and a former saddle bronc rider. And it's a miracle that I got through the intro there, Chancey. I'm not going to lie.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Chancey's from Wyoming, which hopefully most of our listeners know. Were you born here?
Yep, I was born in Newcastle, Wyoming,
Okay.
just down the road from Moorcroft.
Okay, and is that where you still live today, or?
Yeah, I have a house in Moorcroft. My folks, we ranch up there. My family does, and so I have a house there right beside my mom and dad. And then I have a house in Laramie too. Kind of base the band out of Laramie, and then kind of live on the buses where I am today on the road. So.
Yeah, I could
Well,
see
I have
that.
one pressing question, Chancey.
Ooh.
All right.
For you to live in Wyoming and born and raised in Wyoming, why do you have an accent like me?
I don't
You
know.
sound like you're from the Appalachian Mountains, like me.
I know. People have told me I have an accent before, and I don't hear it. I guess maybe it's because maybe I go to Nashville a lot. I don't know. I don't know where I picked that up or why I sound the way I do, but born and raised in Wyoming, lived here my whole life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
can
had
pick it
to
up a
ask.
little bit.
I know.
I can pick up the
Yeah.
accent a little bit. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
my stage voice, maybe.
Yeah,
I
there you
like
go.
it. Yeah. It's kind of like Batman. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just,
I think so.
yeah. I like it.
So you were a rodeo star. I don't know if you were a star, but you did rodeo first, right? And then you transitioned into music. What caused the transition?
Well, yeah, so growing up, being a ranch kid from Moorcroft, obviously rodeoed with my brothers. My dad rode saddle broncs and barebacks. So me and my brothers always wanted to follow in his footsteps. And I went from high school to Casper College, rode saddle broncs and team rope and calf rope there, and stayed there 3 years and made the college finals my third year, and then went to University of Wyoming after that to finish my degree and rodeoed there. Made the college finals again, but the whole time from high school, all through college, I had a band just kind of for fun. We would, play rodeos and fairs and street dances and whatnot. So, but music was always kind of on the back burners. Mostly my main thing was rodeo because that's what I was going to college for. And then it got to where we were getting booked a lot. And so after college, I moved to Nashville for about a year to do an internship to finish my master's degree, and then decided, well, maybe I should try music as a career versus rodeo because probably can't do both forever. So that's how I ended up in music.
You could probably do music a lot longer than rodeo.
Well, that was kind of the goal. I kind of weighed all the options and thought, I can ride bucking horses into my 30s, and it was so fun. I still miss it, but I just thought, for the rest of my life, you can sing till you're dead, essentially. So you can sing your whole life. So I chose to be a singer instead of a rodeo cowboy.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
what's your master's in? Because that's news.
Yeah, so
Tell-
I got my undergrad's in political science, and my master's is in public administration, and I got 2 associate's degrees at Casper College, and then went to University of Wyoming, got a bachelor's. And at the time, part of my band was still in college, so I decided to go to grad school and got a master's, but never used it. It's just fun to talk about in interviews.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe my daughter's not totally off. singular
Yeah.
with a little bit of construction
Right?
on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. It's
Yeah.
getting a degree is, something you earn that nobody can ever take from you. So it's nice to have as a fallback if I ever need it. And I was just really good at college and liked it, and still kind of lived the college life, I guess. My house in Laramie is basically on campus. It's right, you know, about 100 yards from campus. So yeah, it's fun to have the degrees.
Yeah, that's great. So you said like your band was still in college. Do you still have the original band together?
No, the first four, the original four, we were all high school buddies, and went to
Yeah.
college, and then throughout the years, everybody decides to do something different, and when it was all said and done, Brooke and Wyatt been with me the longest, but they've
Hmm.
been in, shoot, this dates me a little bit, but like 16 years, and then the rest of the band been in, 5 to 8, so we've had the same band still a long time, but my original high school band, I'm the only original one left.
You're the last man standing
Yeah.
there, huh? So I had a question for you. Can you share any pivotal moment that you had in your career that kind of shaped you as a musician?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that still happens today. I mean, things happen in your career and you take it to the next level all the time. But so growing up, there's probably been a bunch of those. We were playing a lot of street dances and rodeos and fairs. And then, we got the opportunity. We're actually parked in Billings right now on our way to Bozeman. We just drove by the Metro. And so we got to open for Chris Ledoux there when I was 21. And we were, still a
Wow.
pretty young band. And I don't think we were that good, but Chris let us open for him right here in Billings at the Metro, which was kind of the one of the first moments I thought I wanted to do that for a living, because it was our first real big show. It was sold out, 8,000 people in front of Chris, and and Chris after the show told me, he's like, "It looks like you're meant to be on stage," and I was like, "Well, man, if Chris thinks
Wow.
that." So that was kind of like the first one, and then I guess when I moved to Nashville to finish my internship, I worked for Toby Keith for a year and just spent a lot of time with Toby and kind of learning the music business. I thought, maybe I can make this a profession, because, back when we opened for Chris and we were in college, we played, all cover songs, and we played other
Hmm.
people's stuff. And when I was in Nashville doing my internship, I did my first record of my own stuff in original music, and started doing that direction. And then when I moved back from Nashville, we played, 4 or 5 years still as kind of a cover band, but slipping in a few of our original songs. And then, we got, we had to learn everything from scratch. There's not a big music scene in Wyoming. So
Yeah.
we didn't
Yep.
know. We were just a bunch of
Yeah.
cowboys that started playing music. And, there's a lot to it once you get into it. And I tell people all the time, I know more about ranching and rodeo than I do music. And I just chose a profession that I literally knew nothing about. But I really liked being a singer and an entertainer. So I guess there's all these moments where, we would play the Grizzly Rose and open for people. So you learn how to open, and you open for Chris Ledoux, and all these
Hmm.
moments, and then you figure out how to write better songs, and you figure out how to put a show together. So all these things, one thing leads to another, and we've definitely earned it the hard way. There's
Hmm.
people in Nashville, and even today with the way the music business is, somebody will have never played a show ever and have something blow up on TikTok, and they'll be a big star for a moment.
Yep.
But we've liked the path of our career just because it's everything we've done, we've earned ourselves. We've had to work for every inch. So it's more rewarding when we get these, I guess, awards or big moments to open for people or headline places. We know we've earned it, that we didn't get lucky and had something go viral on the internet.
Yeah, I love
Sorry,
that.
that was really
I mean,
long.
if Chris Ledoux, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's great. I mean, if Chris Ledoux says you're meant for this, that's
Yeah,
a big
well,
deal.
and like
Yeah.
Chris, I looked up to Chris a lot, just
Hmm.
as a musical artist, because he's from Wyoming and he
Hmm.
rodeoed, so there was a lot of similarities. But I never wanted to be Chris, because he's the king of Wyoming and will always be. And I never wanted anybody to think that I was trying to be Chris. I just wanted to cut my own path, but definitely
Hmm.
looked up to him as an artist. And then working for Toby, there's a lot of stars in the world, and only a handful of superstars. And Toby Keith
Yeah.
was a superstar, and for him to, he treated me so well, and about a month before he died, he sent me a text that he called me his oldest son. And so I mean,
Oh,
it's cool to earn the respect of those guys that are that big, and if they look at you as a colleague in the business or a coworker or whatever, that means a lot. Knowing that we've carved our path and people do recognize what we're doing.
yeah, absolutely.
Toby Keith is any song from Toby is my karaoke jams.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
my favorite country music singer. I love Toby, so
yeah.
that's really cool.
It was a sad day when we lost Toby this year, but
Yeah.
he left a mark on the world
Yeah.
as a person and with his music. So we'll remember him forever.
Yeah, and speaking of Chris, I think a really cool fact when I was researching you and when we were doing some background work, you and Chris Ledoux are the only two individuals to compete in the rodeo and perform on the main stage of Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Yeah, it's a really fun stat to have with Chris. I mean, being born and raised in Wyoming, Cheyenne Frontier Days is very special to me and to people from Wyoming. My dad won Cheyenne in 1971, and then so all growing up, we thought Cheyenne was the coolest ever. It's the biggest outdoor rodeo in the world. It's in our home state, and so me and my brother rode there in the rookie bronc ride in a couple years, and it was fun to ride there and follow in Dad's footsteps. Um, and I had some success there. I won 2 rounds there, had the arena record there for a while in the rookie bronc ride. So it was fun to just ride there. And I never knew when I was riding that later on I would end up playing there. And so we played the beer tent for quite a few years, and then ended up getting to play the main stage. And yeah, one of the committee members told us that, said, you and Chris are the only two to ever ride here and play here. I was like, oh, it's a fun stat. And this year I got inducted into the Cheyenne Frontier Days Hall of Fame, which was super humbling because it's so special to us. And so just Cheyenne, I would say, is a big foundation to our career, because when we were learning how to play, we played Cheyenne every year. And so we gained fans from all over the country, because people from all over the country come to Cheyenne Frontier Days to see us. So it was a good foundation to where we are today.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You were talking a little bit about like your original music and your first album. Do you do most of your own songwriting? And if you do, what inspires you, like with your lyrics?
Well, like the first record I cut when I was in Nashville, I cut all outside songs, which means there's tons of songwriters in Nashville and they pitch you stuff all the time. So I cut other people's songs, but they were original songs that had never been released. And so, if you're not a real big artist, it's hard to get pitched really good songs, because those big songwriters, obviously, when they know they write a hit, they send it to Tim McGraw or Keith Urban. So it's hard to get your hands on like the really good songs. I would call them great songs. So I figured out the next few albums to get the stuff I was looking for that reflected the West and where I'm from. I had to write them because, and it's no dig on Nashville writers, they don't really know how to write cowboy stuff because they've never lived it. There's a lingo that people, and even the people out west here, how we talk about horses, how we talk about rodeo, that unless you've kind of lived that life, the lingo doesn't line up. So I still get pitched songs all the time that some great Nashville writers will write about rodeo or cowboys that I'm like, man, I can't cut that. It's not how we talk, and you wouldn't say it that way. And to us, it comes off a little cheesy, but some of those cowboy songs are great. Say if Tim McGraw, cut it, or somebody in Nashville that wasn't a cowboy. But my peers are all rodeo cowboys and ranchers from Wyoming. So I have to look them in the face when I sing these songs. So they have to be legit. And so
they know your name. They know your number.
Yes, exactly.
They know where you live.
My friends are going up and down the road rodeo and listening to these songs. And if I'm fabricating things or like making parts up, I'll get called out because that's the way the world is.
Yeah.
And so when I write, I try to stay in my lane. I write about things that I know about that's super authentic. I grew up ranching, I grew up rodeoing, and went to college for 7 years. So you hear songs about rodeo, partying, ranching, the Western way of life, how beautiful Wyoming is, and things like that. And you know, I think this day and age, with the way the world is and artists, fans can see right through if you're not authentic, and that's one of the reasons where we are today is our authenticity. You know what you get. Like, I'm a Wyoming cowboy that sings about it, and if you like our music, that's great. And not everybody does, and if you don't, that's great too. We're not singing to you. We're singing to the people that live the life we live, or the people nowadays on the east and west coast that have been inspired by shows like Yellowstone and whatnot, that want to live the life vicariously out west here through our music. And it's got to be truthful and authentic, and I think our fans can see and hear how authentic we are.
Yeah, I think there's no other way to be. I think, looking at an artist like Jelly Roll, but we were just talking about Post Malone before we brought you on. My admin who works for us had met him in Salt Lake City last week, and she was just starstruck and over the moon. She got a picture with Post Malone, but I think they're so successful because they honor who they are. They're authentic to who they are.
Yeah, somebody asked me the other day what I thought about Post Malone in country music, and I said I love it, because he's doing stuff with Dwight Yoakam, Brad Paisley, Vince Gill. He's done his research, and he's doing it because he loves the genre of country music. What I don't agree with is other artists coming from the pop or rock world. They're already famous. They just want to get a song on country radio just because they can, And I love Beyonce as a pop artist. She's great, but like her dabbling in country, like, do you really love country music, or are we just trying to get a country hit? Versus Post Malone, like he did this whole album of duets, and this album that came out is crazy good. And so
good.
And I think it's good for country music to have guys like him in there that like have done their research, that dug in, that know the history of where it came from and what they're singing about. And I've been saying this, I credit Cheyenne Frontier Days to him being in country, because they had him at Cheyenne, and everybody was like, why are you getting Post Malone at Cheyenne Frontier Days? And the thing sold out in like 20 minutes. Yeah. And he bought a pair of boots and a hat and wore it at Cheyenne. That was the first time I'd ever seen him wear a hat and boots. I'm like, I think that's where he kind of got the itch to be in country music, was singing at Cheyenne Frontier Days. So don't quote me on that, but that's my own theory.
I like it. I'll run with that one. I think he could be
honest. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll take it.
Well, what's so fun about that story is, and I have to share this because I like when famous people do normal things. Post Malone was buying an American flag, and that's how our admin met him. Like, that's not awesome. At a normal store, like buying an American flag. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, I think he's great for country, and this new album he put out is super good. So I'm jealous that I haven't got to do a duet with him. I want to do one with him.
Hey,
we're manifesting.
We're big manifestors.
Yeah.
We've got this.
Post Malone's camp. Say, Chancey would like to do a duet with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll work on that for you.
Yeah.
So, we talked a little bit about pivotal moments, but do you have like anything you can share about maybe one of the biggest challenges that you've faced so far in continuing to try to be in music? It's a tough industry.
It is super tough, then the longer we're in, the more you know. And like, I spend a week a month in Nashville just to play the part, but it's probably like any business, but it's a little bit slimy once you get into the business part of it. It's kind of who you know. Mm-hmm. It's a big friend thing. It's a lot of money. Money talks in a lot of these aspects. You wonder why so-and-so has a number one. They've never done nothing. Like, well, who do they know and what do they do? And then you'll see a guy, before Cody Johnson got a record deal with Warner, he was streaming more than anybody on radio, and radio wouldn't play him. And you're like, well, what's going on here? It's because, the labels kind of control country radio, which still means a lot. It's starting to get less and less with platforms like Spotify and Pandora and stuff, and TikTok even. So, I think those things are good. But it's frustrating sometimes to see an artist. It's not necessarily about talent anymore. We kind of grew up old school. We said, let's just go play as much as possible and get as good as we can, and somebody will notice us. And didn't really play the politics of Nashville, and we still don't really. So we've built a touring career. I have 13 people that work for us, that work for me. I have 2 buses. So we've built a business without Nashville. But you also need Nashville in some aspects. I mean, to an extent, like our booking agent's there, and our publicist lives there. So, and not that we're against signing a record deal. We've had a lot of record label meetings. We've just turned a lot of them down because at the end of the day, it's all money. And of course, once you become a little bit successful, everybody wants to jump on the gravy train. It's like, well, I'm not going to hand you the keys of this outfit that we've built, like ourselves. And there's not a lot of independent artists, and I'll brag about my band. Like, we've done a lot of cool things as an independent artist. We played the Ryman Auditorium, we played the Grand Ole Opry 3 times, we played Red Rocks, we played Cheyenne, we played Calgary, we played Billy Bob's. Like, we've done all these things without a deal, and there's not many people that have done that. So, not that we're outcasts, we've just kind of done it our own way. And I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's the only way we know. So, but like I said, we're in Nashville all the time having meetings, and if the right team wants to join our team to build it, we're for that. I'm not going to hand over everything that we've worked our whole careers for so far.
I love that. Not a lot of people can say that, right? Like, you want them to align with your vision and your goals.
Well,
right?
yeah,
I love that.
Well, a lot of these young artists don't know any better,
Yeah.
They've never played live much, and they're willing to sign their life away to be famous. And to us, we just love playing music. We love playing live, and I've always wanted to build a career for my team versus, like, you could have a number one today, and if you don't follow that up, you're kind of done. You have to go back. Like some of these new artists, they're coming and going so fast. You're like, well, they had a number one last year. What are they doing today? Are they working, at Blockbuster again or something? Not the Blockbuster, but I've never wanted that.
Throw back to Blockbuster.
Yeah. I never wanted that as a career. We want to be able to be doing this when we're 70 years old, and there's still a demand for people to see us. So our career has been a slow and steady rise versus, the faster you rise, the faster you can fall too. So I've liked our trajectory of my band. Like, we're a family. Everybody's, we live on these buses. So it's not, I'm not hiring, hired guns to come play music with me that I don't know. These are my family members that we live together, and we like creating music together.
Yeah. So you talked a lot about, like, live performance and how much you love that. 2 questions on that. 1, do you ever get stage fright?
Well,
and 2, like, what's your favorite thing about live performances?
So I don't get stage fright. I mean, just a little bit once in a while. Like, I've did the Grand Ole Opry 3 times last year, and you tell yourself to be cool, and it's just another show, but it's not. Anybody you've ever looked up to in music has stood in that circle. So you're like, and it's a super respected place to play. You have to be invited to play there. So you don't want to mess anything up. You want to respect their house and their rules. So yeah, first time at the Opry, very nervous. Second time, a little less nervous. Third time, still nervous. I don't know if that will ever go away, singing at the Opry. Maybe. I hope not. I kind of like that feeling. Some big stages, it's the ones closer to home I get nervous. Like, we play Cheyenne Frontier Days on the main stage. I always get a little nervous because it's same for me. Like, I love it so much. I want to do the best job for our home base fans. And then what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
What's your favorite thing about performing live?
I guess the reward of writing a song and people taking the time to go download it and enjoying it enough to sing it back to you while you're singing it to them live is super special because, songwriting's hard. And I surround myself with great songwriters in Nashville is how I get a lot of these songs I put out. But it's hard to write. A lot of people can write a song. A lot of people can write a good song, but the goal is to get where you write great songs where people, they'll be around forever. So singing those songs live and the crowd response, it's a great feeling. It's like, being 90 points on a bucking horse. It's a feeling like you can't really describe.
Yeah. Well, I had 2 questions I want to make sure I get to. So
Okay.
I'm going to head to those if you don't mind.
Sure.
If you could perform with any artist who's living or dead, who would it be and why?
Well, it would be George Strait at Cheyenne.
Ooh,
Ooh.
Yep, I've always
that's
wanted.
a good one.
Well, Cheyenne's my favorite venue.
Yeah.
I mean, even over Red Rocks and the Grand Ole Opry, I love those places. But my Grand Ole Opry is Cheyenne Frontier Days, so I would love to open for George Strait just because he's the king at Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Well, we should like let the committee know.
Yeah.
We're all part of CFD. Let's
I was going to say,
make this
I've
happen.
heard that he is potentially apprehensive because it is outdoor and whether he's getting older.
Well, and
we could build him a
bullets and
canopy.
dust.
it's always hilarious every year when they put out the lineup for Cheyenne. You always get people comment like, "Why don't you get George Strait?" It's like, "Oh, thanks for the idea. You don't think we put out offers?"
Yeah.
Like George has a lifetime offer to play Cheyenne, but everybody's like, "You should get George Strait." Yeah, it's not as easy.
Crap. Yeah.
So if he ever comes back, which I bet he does at some point, just because it's George.
Yeah.
I would love to be on that bill.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Okay, the second one is tell us something your fans might be surprised to learn about you.
I'm super fast. No, I always say that. I'm not fast. I don't know. A lot of people don't know I have a master's degree.
I was going to say, probably the master's degree. That was I'm
really,
like, hey.
I know.
Okay.
They just think
no
I'm
idea.
a wild cowboy singer. But yeah, my parents wanted to be sure I went to college. But I don't know. I guess I always like to tell people like I'm an original Wyoming artist. A lot of people, weren't born and raised here. So like, I just like being the fact that I'm a Wyoming ranch kid my whole life. It's all I've cared about was living in Wyoming and representing it wherever we're at. If we're in California or Boston, wherever, people know we're from Wyoming, and we represent we try to represent the state well because we love this place more than anybody, and I want to protect it. I want to keep the tourists out. I mean, they can come, but they just have to leave.
Don't live here, is what we're saying.
Yeah, the winters are
you can
terrible.
visit.
Wyoming doesn't exist.
Come in the summer, spend all your money, but you better be out of here by December because it's going to get cold.
Yeah, it just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So.
I love that.
Well, I want to ask a question. So I know you talked a lot about Chris Ledoux, but do you have any other favorite artists or artists that you looked up to? I know you mentioned Toby. Is there anyone else or anyone else that's inspired you to continue outside of those?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch. I mean, I love music, and so especially country music. But growing up, I grew up on 90s country. I loved Dwight Yoakam, and 80s country with Dan Seals. My mom, I rode to school. She was a school teacher, so I rode to school with her every day, and she always had good country music tapes. We listened to Dan Seals a lot. So I grew up listening to Dan. Dwight, Gary Allen, we've got to play with Gary a few times, once at Cheyenne. I've always loved his stuff. Dierks Bentley.
I love Gary. That's a good one.
Me too.
Dierks Bentley, we've got to we played at Dierks at Cheyenne too, and one of the most genuine, nice artists I've ever met. Like he still texts me once in a while, and just super genuine. Neil McCoy. I mean, all those guys. I guess the longer I'm in music, it's more about how they are as a individual versus their music. I like all music. I mean, some of it ain't my favorite, but if they make good music, it's good music. And so, but what means the most is when you meet an artist or get to share the stage with them, and if they're really cool or if they don't care that you're there or not, that kind of is my deciding factor of who my favorite artists are. Like Dierks, like I said, one of the coolest dudes ever. We were at Cheyenne. I'd never met him. We were headed to meet and greet, and he said, "Hey, you're Chancey, right?" I was like, "Oh man, it's Dierks Bentley." And he said, "You wanna sing one tonight?" I was like, "Sure." And I thought maybe one of his songs. I know a lot of his stuff, and he's like, "How about Still Make Cheyenne by George Strait?" I was like, okay, and I've known that song forever, but I'd never worked it up. I'd never sang it. And I was getting a little nervous. I was like, oh man. So at meet and greet, I was like, hey Dierks, I mean, we can do one of yours or we can do that. I've never really worked it up. He's like, I haven't either. He's like, we'll print the lyrics out and put them on the deck. We'll get through it. I was like, okay.
We'll wing it.
Like, for me, I'm like at Cheyenne singing a song about Cheyenne that George Strait sang with Dierks Bentley. I'm like, okay, don't mess this up. But I mean, yeah, as far as artists go, and there's stuff coming out all the time. Like there's a new artist called Ernest. Like he's a great writer, and I've just been digging into all his catalog recently. And he's kind of that Morgan Wallen, Camp, Hardy, and those guys. That whole team is putting out really cool stuff, and it's not necessarily cowboy stuff, but I sing lots of stuff that isn't cowboy stuff either, but just really good music. So there's always a new artist coming out that's inspiring to me. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, do you have any secrets you want to share on how you seem so grounded and humble? And you seem to really, even though you're on a national stage, traveling the world, you seem to always want to connect back to your Wyoming roots. And I love that.
Yeah,
How do you make that happen?
I think you can just credit that to being from Wyoming. I think everybody from Wyoming is like that, and it's good and bad. When I was in Nashville, we're just such down to earth people that everybody always thinks like you're after something. Like, why are you being so nice? I'm like, I'm just a nice guy. Like when I lived down there, during my internship, I moved down there by myself. So I was there a year with no friends. So it gets a little lonely. So I'd go out and visit with people, and sometimes they'd be like, "Well, what's your angle? Why are you so nice?" I'm like, I just want somebody to talk to. I'm from Wyoming. And I think,
We like connection.
I just want to speak.
yeah, it's like, I'm just a nice guy, I think. But, I think growing up in Moorcroft as a ranch kid, my parents raised us to be respectful to people. I think in college, surrounding yourself with friends that keep you humble is important, And so I remember, my roommate Daryl, I'd get a little cocky once in a while, and he'd line me out, And so I think it's just your complete upbringing of what makes you who you are. And I think that people used to say that about Chris, how genuinely nice he was, and I always say, well, that's most of the people in Wyoming, in my opinion. If you break down or somewhere or sitting at a bar, somebody's going to be your friend there, because that's just how we are. We're down to earth people.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, I think we're coming towards the end of our time. Is there anything that you want to share with us that maybe we haven't talked about, or share with your listeners, our listeners?
Well, I always thank our foundation fans, the people out west, especially people in Wyoming. They've got us to where we are. I mean, people have drove miles and miles to come see our shows, and we'll always be appreciative of that. And we don't really consider them fans, we consider them friends, but and I was like telling people we did it the hard way, and we loved every second of it. And we do have a new single coming out, let's see, September 6th. It's called Adios, and so we're excited to keep rolling out new music all the time. But yeah, I would just like to thank the fans of Wyoming that have supported us all these years. And maybe it's taken us a little longer than some people, but we've loved every second, because at the end of the day, when the dust settles, we know nobody handed it to us, and we did it our way, and we earned it. So
Yeah. And where can people find out more about what you're doing? We could put this in the show notes as well.
yeah, just ChanceyWilliams.com has all the links to Instagram and Spotify, and our tour schedule. And we always encourage people to go stream our stuff. I mean, seems like a lot of our fans are a little old school and would rather come to a show than maybe stream it on Spotify. But Nashville really bases artist careers these days off of Spotify numbers. And I get it. Analytics sometimes don't lie, but I think sometimes they're a little skewed, because I say come to one of our shows out west, whether it's in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, California. We sell tickets, and so some artists, they might have 1 million TikTok followers, but that doesn't mean they're going to have 1 million ticket sales.
Shows.
So,
Yeah.
just because people like something on the internet doesn't mean they'll actually show up. The proof's in the pudding when you put on a show and people pay their hard-earned money to come see you and buy a t-shirt and maybe still a CD. That's, in my opinion, what a real artist is, versus are you just famous on the internet?
Yeah.
I love
that's
that.
fair.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Well, thank you, girls,
This
for
is
having me
it.
on.
Yeah,
This is
thanks
awesome.
so much.
And
Yeah, we appreciate
This is a
it.
great podcast. I like it. Authentic Wyoming. That's us.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
us. That's us.
Awesome. Well, until next time.
Yeah. Well,
Stay authentic.
okay. Well, sounds good. Thanks, girls.